Secularisation. Secularisation refers to the decline in the importance of religion. There is much disagreement among sociologists about whether or how far religion has declined. Secularisation in Britain. Church attendance figures are declining, which has led many sociologists to claim that the 19th century was a golden age of religiosity. Whether this is a fair description is open to much debate, but there has certainly been some changes in religion in the UK since then. For example, a decline in the proportion of the population going to church, fewer baptisms and church weddings, and greater religious diversity, including more non-Christian religions. So Crockett estimates that in 1851, 40% of the adult population in Britain attended church, which led some sociologists to claim that the 19th century was a golden age of religiosity. Sociologists put forward different explanations of these trends and reached different conclusions as to whether and to what extent religion is declining. Wilson argued that Western societies had been undergoing a long-term process of secularization. He defines secularization as the process whereby religious beliefs, institutions, and practices lose social significance. Crockett, like I said earlier, church attendance in England and Wales was 40% in 1851, and then this fell to 10 to 15% in the 1960s. Overall church affiliation, so membership, has declined. Sunday school, church weddings, and baptisms have also declined. 1851, 40% of the adult population, 1960s, 10% roughly, and then 2005, only 6% of the adult population attended church on a Sunday. Religion today. Opinion polls and surveys and attitude surveys show that more people claim they hold Christian beliefs than actually belong or go to church. Evidence from 80 years of surveys shows a decline in belief in God, in Jesus as the Son of God, and in Christian teachings about the afterlife. Religious institutions. So not only have religious belief and practice declined, but so too has the influence of religions as a social institution. The state has taken over many areas that were previously run by the church, for example, education. So until the mid-19th century, the church has provided education, but since then it has been provided mainly by the state. Although there are still faith schools, these are mainly state-funded and must conform to the state's regulation. This is discussed by Bruce and Wilson. Bruce predicts that the Methodist Church will fold by 2030. Furthermore, the number of clergy has fell. In 1900 there was 45,000, and then in 2000 there was 34,000, while the population is increasing in size. Bruce says that there is a steady and unremitting decline. If the current trends continue, the Methodist Church will fold by 2030. Explanations of secularization. There are different explanations for secularization, such as rationalization, structural differentiation, social and cultural diversity, religious diversity, cultural defense, and cultural transition. Varieties of theories and concepts explain the theory of secularization. Common explanation is modernization, involving the decline of traditional society, religious ideas being replaced by modern scientific and rational thought, leading to less religious belief and therefore meaning the church and religions on the whole now hold a much less importance to individuals than it did before. Structural differentiation. So Parsons says that industrialization has broken up small communities that were once held together by common religious beliefs. Religious diversity, another major theme or factor that could be considered the growth of social and religious diversity. Growth of diversity has undermined both the authority of religious institutions and the credibility of religious belief. As a result of these changes, religious practice has also declined. Explanations of secularization, a technological worldview, so also rationalization. Bruce argues that the growth of a technological worldview has largely replaced religious or supernatural explanations as to why things happen. If a plane were to crash, instead of blaming on evil spirits or as God's punishment of the wicked, instead we look for scientific and technological explanations. A technological worldview thus leaves little room for religious explanations in everyday life, which only survive in areas which science and technology is least effective. This links to the God of the Gaps theory. This worldview does not make people atheists, but encourages them to take religion less seriously. Weber argues that Western society has undergone a process of rationalization in the last few centuries. The 16th century Protestant Reformation undermined the religious worldview of the Middle Ages, replacing it with a rational scientific outlook. The medieval Catholic worldview saw the world as enchanted or a magical garden in which God, angels, etc. changed the course of events through their supernatural powers and miracle-working interventions. The concept of disenchantment. So, led by the Protestant Reformation, it saw God as existing above and outside the world. The world had become disenchanted, left to run according to the laws of nature. So examples of how people may look to science rather than religion to explain things is Big Bang Theory for the explanation of the creation of the world, evolution rather than Genesis in the Bible. Structural differentiation, spoken about by Parsons. So, specialised institutions now carry out functions that were previously formed by a single institution. Structural differentiation has led to the disengagement of religion. Religion's functions are transferred to other state institutions and it becomes thus disconnected from wider society. Religion dominated pre-industrial society, but with industrialization, it has become a smaller and more specialized institution. Even where religion is involved in education or welfare, it must conform to circular controls. For example, teachers in faith schools must hold qualifications recognized by the state. The church and the state are usually separate in modern society, so the church loses political power. Social and cultural diversity. The diversity of religions, cultures and occupations undermines religion. Even when people continue to hold religious beliefs, they cannot avoid knowing that many of those around them hold very different views. And this has the potential to weaken beliefs. Bruce sees industrialization as creating large, impersonal, loose-knit urban centres with diverse beliefs, values and lifestyles. This diversity undermines the believability of religion. To evaluate this, you can see that Pentecostal and other groups often flourish in supposedly impersonal urban areas. Another explanation is religious diversity. So Burgess says that in the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church held an absolute monopoly on faith. As a result, everyone lived under a single sacred canopy, or set beliefs were shared by all. A greater plausibility because beliefs were left unquestioned. This all changed with the Protestant Reformation, when Protestant churches and sects broke away from the Catholic Church in the 16th century. They are no longer living under a shared sacred canopy of values, leading to diversity of religious beliefs. Another explanation is cultural defense and cultural transition. Bruce identifies two counter trends that seem to contradict secularization theory. Cultural defense, so religion provides a focus for the defense of national or ethnic group identity in a struggle against an external force, for example, Catholicism in Poland before the fall of communism. And then cultural transition, so religion provides a sense of community for ethnic groups living in a different country or culture. A spiritual revolution. Some sociologists argue that a spiritual revolution is taking place today in which traditional Christianity is giving way to holistic spirituality or New Age movements. Increased interest in spirituality can be seen through the growth of a spiritual market, for example, crystal healing to meditation. So are these spiritual alternatives a modern adaptation of religion to suit our needs and the times that we live in? Secularization in America. Wilson says that more parts of American way of life now than of deeply held religious beliefs. Claims that America was a secular society not because people had abandoned the church, but because religion had become superficial. Lind and Lind found that in 1924, 94% agreed with the statement Christianity is the one true religion, but by 1977 only 41% agreed. This was done with church-going young people. Criticisms of secularization theory. Secularization theorists put forward strong arguments with compelling evidence, but can be criticized on several grounds. Religion is not declining, but simply changing its form. Eurocentric. Religion may have declined in Europe, but not in America or globally, so secularization is not universal. Religious diversity doesn't cause decline, it simply increases choice for members of society.